Hello there, good morning. This is our morning bulletin on MITV Plus. I am Kasmer Ozuribu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has forwarded to the Senate for the approval of a $516.3 million foreign loan to finance key sections of the proposed Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway, a major road infrastructure project expected to boost trade and connectivity across the country. The request, contained in a letter read on the floor of the Senate by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, seeks approval for financing from Deutsche Bank for sections 1, 1A and 1B of the project, and for the loan to be added to the federal government's existing borrowing plan. The proposed 1,000-kilometer highway will link Sokoto, Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Oyo, Ogun, and Lagos states, stretching from Ilela to Badagry, and is expected to improve road safety, cut travel time, and stimulate economic activities. Speaking on the project, Senator Adamu Aliero praised the initiative, saying the superhighway would strengthen national security and drive economic growth.
Drawing board for more than 55 years. And it has only come to reality.
How many years?
55 years.
55 years.
It has been on the drawing board for the last 55 years. And I want to tell this hallowed chamber, and indeed Nigerians, that this project is now a reality. I have inspected the project, and I have seen progress that has been made. I'm highly impressed with what I saw. That is standard construction of concrete road, not asphalt road, concrete road, and not only that, the road is also furnished with street light, solar street lights.
For the resolution of the National Assembly to approve USD 516,333,007 syndicated financing from Deutsche Bank AG for the construction of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway Project Sections 1, Phase 1A and Phase 1B. The purpose of this letter is to request the Senate for the resolution of the National Assembly pursuant to the provisions of Sections 16 and 21 of the Debt Management Bureau Establishment Act 2011.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has met with governors from the All Progressives Congress (APC), charging them to ensure peaceful party primaries in their states. The APC governors, led by Nigeria Governors Forum Chairman Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State, and the Progressives Governors Forum Chairman Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, converged at the State House on Thursday evening. The closed-door meeting with the president and party leaders lasted about an hour. Emerging from the session, the governors disclosed that they received direct guidance from the president on conducting orderly primaries ahead of elections.
We came to thank the president for his magnanimity and his support to the governors, and for our party, the APC, he gave us a marching order to what to do. For him also to have given and ceded his executive power to the governors to go ahead and conduct primaries based on the Electoral Act, either a consensus or direct primaries. So he's reiterated his support for our decision, and he has given us a go-ahead to go ahead. Thank you.
We met with Mr. President. The timetable for the primaries has been released. We'll discuss the process moving forward so that there'll be free and fair elections, no rancor, and at the end of the process, the party should be won stronger than ever, heading towards the election.
Other governors in attendance include River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum, Gombe State Governor Inuwa Yahaya, Benue State Governor Hyacinth Aliya, and Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji, and including Enugu State Governor Peter Mba, among others. Nigeria's drive toward a $1 trillion economy is gaining momentum as the federal government intensifies efforts to attract private investment and optimize national assets. Vice President Kashim Shettima is now calling for a major expansion of public-private partnerships to fast-track economic development. State House correspondent Folashade Abdulsalami files in this report.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has directed an aggressive expansion of Nigeria's public-private partnership pipeline, describing it as critical to achieving the country's economic ambitions. Speaking at the 2026 maiden meeting of the National Council on Privatization at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, Shettima said Nigeria must position itself as a safe and credible destination for global capital while aligning investments with national priorities. He stressed that building a $1 trillion economy requires a deliberate balance between public enterprise and private sector dynamism, warning that policies, inconsistency, and overlapping mandates could undermine investor confidence. The Vice President also highlighted progress in key sectors including energy, agriculture, and mining, noting that recent transactions, such as the sale of a co-electricity distribution company, signal renewed investor confidence driven by policy clarity and consistency.
As we close out the next 13 months of this council, I urge us to maintain momentum as we pursue our objectives for the year. We must accelerate the work of building a pipeline of bankable projects and of executing more private-public partnership transactions to support the ambitious economic targets of the Renewed Hope agenda. We must deepen post-privatization review and ensure that the performance of privatized assets aligns with contractual expectations and with the aspirations of Nigerians.
Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Ayodeji Ariyo Beleyi, disclosed ongoing efforts to reform the power sector, including a World Bank-backed program targeting Nigerians' estimated 5.6 million metering gap. He said over 1.4 million prepaid meters have been procured, with nearly 400,000 already installed nationwide, aimed at eliminating estimated billing and improving electricity supply.
These meters are being financed through a shareholder loan to the DISCO over a period of 20 years and at a highly concessionary interest rate of 9%. It has been de-risked. The DISCOs are not exposed to the foreign currency loan extended to government by World Bank, but rather the federal government has de-risked it by extending this loan to DISCOs in Naira. These are all efforts geared towards ensuring that we can have stable power supply in the country. And
the council also approved payments for former Nikon staff and endorsed the lease of coal blocks to boost resource development as part of broader efforts to reposition the economy for sustained growth. For Lashade Abdulsalami, MITV Plus News.
The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to establish a comprehensive framework for the repatriation, rehabilitation, and reintegration of trafficked Nigerian girls returning from Mali and other West African countries. The call comes amid growing concerns over the surge in human trafficking, with many young Nigerian women subjected to sexual exploitation and forced labor abroad. The motion, sponsored by Honorable Tolulokbe Akondeshadikbe, emphasized the need for swift, coordinated government action to curb the trend and support victims. Lawmakers also pushed for stronger gender inclusion, urging accelerated passage of the special seats for women bill with Honorable J.C. Onukalasu is saying it would address the underrepresentation of women in governance while backing new bills to boost national security and public health systems.
Recognize that effective repatriation and reintegration requires a multi-agency approach involving medical and psychosocial support, vocational empowerment, and sustainable reintegration programs to prevent re-trafficking. Hence, the need to assess the effectiveness of ongoing repatriation, rehabilitation, and reintegration programs for rescued victims. Concerned that despite Nigeria's international commitments under the Palermo Protocol, the Convention of the Rights of the Child, and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, coordination gaps, inadequate funding, and bureaucratic delays continue to hinder the timely rescue and repatriation of trafficked Nigerian citizens.
So this bill seeks to establish that Department of State's Service Research and Development Bureau, such that people will not be using colonial methods of waiting on hearsay as information gathering, but a scientific method. It will help to coordinate and research, develop intelligence technologically, and then there will be established research centers across the country. I think this is exactly what we need to be able to combat a security situation in our country.
Further worried that despite effort, responses for relevant security agencies have not been sufficient to prevent reoccurrence. Commends the effort of His Excellency Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, Executive Governor of Borno State, for his consistent leadership in strengthening local vigilantes and supporting security operation, while noting the need for a stronger federal interventions.
The bill responds to the urgent need for a centralized and legally empowered institution to coordinate national preparedness and response to public health and emergencies. The proposed institute will lead outbreak responses, reduce mobility and mortality, and mitigate socioeconomic disruptions arising from such crises. There is also a growing need to align Nigeria's health security framework with international health regulations and global best practices, including cross-border diseases control and collaboration with global health bodies.
The House concerned that failure to take deliberate legislative action, as being happening here, will to address gender imbalance in political representation, undermine Nigeria's democratic credibility and weaken institutional legitimacy and limit socio-economic development outcomes. The House concerned that increased women representation in governance lead improved outcome in healthcare, education, and social welfare and economic growth, therefore strengthening national cohesion and sustainable development.
Bandits operate 4 hours without immediate security response, leading to a high casualty figure and successful mass adoption, with ransom demands placed on victims, family, and communities mostly still remain unpaid till date. Disturbed that entire communities are being displaced, with some villages nearly disastered due to fear of repeated attack.
And now the federal government, through the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, has disbursed over 5 billion naira to 518 communities across the country under the School-Based Management Committee School Improvement Program, SBMC-SIP. This, it said, is part of broader efforts to strengthen basic education delivery and tackle the challenge of out-of-school children. Speaking on Thursday in Abuja at the national launch of the 2025 SBMC-SIP rollout, The Executive Secretary of UBEC, Dr. Aisha Garba, stated that the initiative reflects the federal government's strengthened resolve to upgrade school infrastructure, enhance community involvement, and ensure that children not only gain access to education but also stay in school through the completion. She disclosed that the 5.18 billion naira earmarked for the 2025 program will support 518 communities countrywide, with each state and the Federal Capital Territory benefiting from 14 schools. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Nyesom Ezenwo-Wike, has approved a waiver of all fees for the Certificate of Occupancy, CFO, for the Nigerian Law School Abuja campus in Buhari, alongside a draft of infrastructure intervention aimed at strengthening legal education in the country. Wike, who disclosed this during a meeting with the management of the law school in Abuja, expressed concern that the institution had operated for years without proper land documentation, describing the situation as unacceptable for a government establishment. He directed the FCT Department of Lands to process the CFO within 1 week, stressing the need to regularize the school's land status. According to him, failure to secure such documentation reflects systemic lapses the administration is determined to correct. Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Teachers NUT FCT chapter, Abdullahi Shafa, says that a closed-door meeting with the FCT minister was fruitful with key issues affecting teachers throughout and thoroughly discussed and assurances given on resolving the dispute. Speaking with journalists after the meeting, Shafa said the union tabled its grievances, including teachers' welfare, promotions and members' rights, while commending the minister for listening to their concerns and promising swift action. He noted that the issues raised were treated expeditiously during the engagement, expressing optimism that the talks have created progress towards resolving the impasse. Shafa, however, said the strike cannot be called off immediately, as the union leadership must first consult with members before taking a final decision.
We, the teachers too, both at the primary school level, the junior secondary school level, and the secondary school level, appreciate the minister. He is into renovating and restructuring some of our schools. That is a pathway. The rights of our members are being discussed and being settled. The only area where we have greater problems is the area of the primary school teachers, where their rights, entitlements have shortcomings. But with our meeting of today, we are going to make a headway.
The 19th Lagos State Executive Legislative Parley has ended with a strong call for deeper collaboration among the three arms of government to drive inclusive governance and development in the state. Held from April 21 to 23, the two-day meeting brought together members of the executive, legislature, party leadership, and key stakeholders under the theme of equal participation in governance. In a communique issued at the end of the parley, participants resolved to strengthen cooperation through improved communication, coordination, and consensus building while promoting grassroots inclusion in decision-making. The forum also emphasized early engagement between the executive legislature on budget processes, as well as sustained consultation on policies to enhance efficiency and reduce duplication in governance. The meeting concluded that the effective governance requires teamwork, accountability, and sustained political will to achieve the vision of a greater Lagos rising.
The state government, in conjunction with representatives of Lagos State at the National Assembly, should work towards a review and reform of the Land Use Act in order to address overlap of functions between the state and federal institutions. 14, the government should endeavor to notify lawmakers representing communities where demolition is to be carried out to enlighten on the need for infrastructural renewal, which is in the best interest of the state. And the executive should ensure timely communication and consultation with elected representatives, communities that will be affected with actions and activities, such as communities to be affected with demolitions and relocations. The Parley resolved that governance is a teamwork and that all parties involved must embrace effective communication, clear accountability, cooperation, and sustained political will if the desired result of a greater Lagos Rising Plus is to be achieved.
The Police Service Commission (PSC) and the Nigeria Police Force (NPF) have fixed April 28th to 30th, 2026 for the written examination for applicants seeking enlistment as police constables. In a statement issued by the Head of Protocol and Public Affairs, T. Njoku Kalu, the Commission said the exercise will be conducted at designated centers across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). According to the statement, only candidates who successfully pass the physical and credential screening are eligible to participate. Qualified applicants are required to log on to www.npfapplications.psc.gov.ng from Friday, April 24, 2026 to print their examination invitation cards, which will indicate the date, time, and venue of their tests. Applicants are to come along with a pen, their National Identification Number (NIN) slip issued by the National Identity Management Commission with a clear photograph and a printed copy of their examination invitation card. The prescribed dress code is white shorts, white t-shirt, and white canvas. On the foreign news now, Microsoft will invest $18 billion in Australia over the next 3 years, upgrading government cyber defense tools and supercomputers used for artificial intelligence, the company said. Microsoft Chief Executive Satya Nadella said it was the US-based firm's largest ever investment in Australia. It follows a $3 billion investment Microsoft announced in 2023 to build a string of data centers across Australia. The investment would be used to upgrade supercomputers used to churn out through massive data sets, powering the development of artificial intelligence. Microsoft is also working with the Australian government to bolster its cybersecurity. The Iran war will push more than 30 million people back into poverty, with the knock-on effects of the conflict likely to increase food insecurity in the coming months, the United Nations is warning. Disruptions to fuel and fertilizer supplies due to the ongoing blocking of cargo vessels through the Strait of Hormuz has already lowered agricultural productivity and will hit crop yields later this year, the UN's development chief said on Thursday. Much of the world's fertilizer is produced in the Middle East, and 1/3 of global supplies passes through the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran and the US are jostling for control. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization FAO last week warned that a prolonged crisis in the Strait of Hormuz could lead to a global food catastrophe. And now to sports. A former Ivory Coast international footballer Aboulaye Touré has been sentenced to 3 years in jail for rape, an Ivorian women's rights group reports. Nicknamed Ben Badi, the striker won the 1992 African Cup of Nations with the Elephants and remains a very popular figure in the West African country. In a statement, the Ivorian League for Women's Rights said the Bouake court handed down the 3-year sentence on Wednesday, hailing a significant advance in the fight against impunity for sexual and sexist violence. Besides the jail term, the court ordered the payment of 15 million CFA francs to the victim, which is around $26,700, and a 5-year ban on appearing in the central region. According to a judicial source, the footballer was found guilty of having non-consensual sexual relationship in March 2021 with a woman who was 21 years old at the time. Former Blackburn Rovers player and coach Tony Parks is dead. He died at the age of 76. Parks was synonymous with Rovers After playing and working for them for about 34 years, he made over 400 appearances as a midfielder before going on to work under 16 different managers, including Kenny Dalglish, during the Premier League title winning season in 1994 to 1995. Parks also had 6 different spells as caretaker manager for Rovers before he left in 2004. In 2020, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, and his daughter, Natalie, announced that he died on Wednesday. And that's the size of the news we've got for you at this hour on Breakfast Express this morning. But please do remember to join Tone and Okpe for an in-depth discussion on the stories that made the news. Thank you for watching. I am Kasmer Ozuriwo. Do have a good morning.